Hello and welcome to the Oxford Clay Pottery podcast. I'm Catherine Tomlinson and I founded Oxford Clay, an eco-conscious pottery company. So on this podcast, we're going to be talking about all things pottery related, often with an eco-conscious twist, and I can't wait to share it with you. Let's go. Hello and welcome back to the Oxford Clay Pottery Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some useful things that you can buy easily from a hardware shop or just like a supermarket, and that you could use for pottery. And you don't need specialist equipment. We're just going to go through a few really helpful things that I actually use on a daily basis making pottery. And okay, so the first thing I wanted to tell you about is just a normal mixing bowl. Like, okay, great, it's a mixing bowl, but I have to say these ones I got from a supermarket and they're so good. So they've got this kind of like rubber thing on the bottom so they don't kind of like fall over. They've got like a spout, and they've got a handle. And they're really, really cool when like you're sieving stuff, because you can set the sieve in it and you can brush whatever you're sieving like through the sieve, and they stay really, they're made for baking basically. So they're really, really good. And I've actually got 3 of them that all nest together. So this one goes into this one, and they're really good. I use them all the time, almost on a daily basis. I use this small one to have water in for throwing pots on the wheel, and it's just the right size to kind of sit on the wheel kind of shelf thing. And I use sort of bigger ones for like glaze making. They're absolutely fantastic because you can pour out of them as well. So I definitely recommend those kind of like those really good mixing bowls that are for baking. They're absolutely brilliant for pottery as well. Okay, so on a similar kind of kitchen related note, I also use just a normal scales. So these are just like baking scales, and I use them for pottery. I think they go up to like maybe 5 kilograms. Yeah, the maximum is 5 kilograms. And for doing just like little things like weighing out clay, like weighing out glazing ingredients, they're absolutely perfect. So what I found is I don't need like specialist kind of glazing scales, if such a thing exists. I just use normal kitchen scales. They're really affordable and they're really accurate and they're really good. This one actually charges by USB, so that's really cool. So so another thing which I literally use every single day is a spatula, a silicone spatula. So again, this was just from a supermarket, and these are so good for like if you slip cast. They're fantastic for like scraping slip out of like a bucket or something, or they're great for stirring glazes. They are fantastic for if you're making a glaze, for kind of just getting the residue out of the bottom of the bowl, and scraping it into the bucket. They're absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I use this every single day, this silicone spatula, and it was just from a supermarket. So good. Okay, so we're still in the kitchen using kitchen things, and my next item is a tea towel, just like a normal kitchen tea towel. And I actually use these as rolling cloths. So I went to pottery classes. We always used to roll clay out on a cloth, because basically if you roll it on a table, it will stick to the table. So it's basically the only way you can really roll clay out well. So you basically put the cloth down, you put a lump of clay that you want to roll out on it, and then you roll the clay using a rolling pin on top of the cloth, like just so cloth, clay, rolling pin, roll it, and then you have to keep peeling the clay off the cloth, so it enables it to like spread out more and stuff as you're rolling it. But At my pottery class, we used to use just like scraps of fabric, but then I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, I could just use a tea towel. They're already hemmed already, on the side. So yeah, I've actually found them. They're absolutely fantastic. They're the perfect fabric as well. So because it's like cotton and they're quite fine, so they don't make an impression in the clay. And yeah, they're really good. So I definitely recommend tea towels as rolling cloth. So yeah, we're still in the kitchen. We've got like another thing, kitchen related item. And this one is actually a microfiber cloth. So I have to say, I found microfiber cloths to be so helpful in pottery. So I use them a bit like a sponge for like, say, like wiping the glaze off the bottom of pots. I use them to like, clean my equipment, clean my hands, clean, the table. I also lay it down flat over a flat surface, wrap it underneath, and then you can actually twist a pot on top to, like I said, like clean the glaze off, say like a base. It gives a really clean line. So yeah, they're really, really good microfiber cloths. Yeah, definitely top tip. Recommend microfiber cloth for all your cleaning needs in the pottery studio. They do clean better than a sponge, I found. Um, and then another thing which I use as well, which is another kind of cleaning item, is we call them scourers in the UK. So they're like they're called metal scourers, and they're basically like sort of shredded stainless steel in a big kind of nest. And I actually use these for when I'm throwing a pot on the wheel, and sometimes I want to just like give a bit of texture to the pot. I'll like dip it in water, and then this will go on, and it will kind of give a sort of scraped finish to the pot. So if you want like a rough surface, which you might want for like texture reasons, or to kind of mix up the textures on your pot, or say like you've got a line in your pot and you just want to make it, just want to start again, take a layer of clay off. These are really, really good. You can just, use them exactly like you would a sponge, but they just take a bit more clay off than a sponge would. Yeah, so they're really good. Metal, stainless steel scourers. And then my final item, which you can just buy from a shop and use in pottery, is makeup brushes. And I use makeup brushes all the time when I'm painting pottery. And I also use makeup brushes for painting on slip. And makeup brushes are really good because they're often clearly labelled, this is a synthetic brush. And they're often, you can often get really big brushes. So if you think about like a kind of like, a pottery brush that you traditionally use for painting on glaze, like a hake brush, which is traditionally made from goat hairs, you can just use a really big makeup brush instead, like a bronzer brush or blusher brush or a foundation brush. And they will take the place of a hake brush, and they make the glaze go on really well, and they're often very soft as well, so they distribute the glaze really well when you're painting. And I use this eyeliner brush as well, and I use it to get like really, really fine. I recycle my own recycled copper into copper oxide, into verdigris, and I use this to paint on the verdigris onto pottery, and it gives a really, really fine, very fine line. So the really good thing about makeup brushes is that there's kind of like one for every use, if you know what I mean, in pottery. There's either like big brushes just for general glaze painting, or there's fine brushes. And you can use them for like painting on oxides or painting really fine patterns on pottery. And there's ones in between, kind of fluffy ones like eyeshadow ones, and they're really good. I use them for kind of say like if I want to brush some powder into a mold or something, some corn flour into a silicone mold, which I sometimes do. I use a kind of eyeshadow brush for that. So makeup brushes, a really good substitute for art brushes, and quite often cheaper as well. And because they're synthetic, they do like last a long time, and they're very soft. and obviously they're vegan friendly as well, because quite a lot of paintbrushes are made with fur, animal fur and animal hair in the fur industry. So that's why makeup brushes are really good, synthetic ones, really good. So I hope you liked my roundup of loads of kind of, easily, readily available kind of kitchen implements, just things you can buy from supermarkets and how you can use them in pottery. Obviously, there's so many more, especially in the kitchen department. Loads of stuff you can use for cutting. I've seen people using pizza wheels for cutting. So much stuff out there that you'd think would be, that's just for kitchen, but actually no, you can use it for pottery, and it's fantastic for pottery. So I hope that's given you some ideas about like things that are available and you can use. And looking forward to seeing you on the next episode.